I don't know how to say this chick's name, but it looks like what somebody would pronounce Charalanahzard. Charalanahzard, where I'm from. So that's what I'm gonna call her, Charalanahzard, until I hear her actual name, because I don't know who this is. But she's sick of fake gamers. Me too, man. And I want to see what she's got to say about it.
This video is sponsored by my partner Geology. There's a new kind of fake gamer on the rise, and I, for one, am sick of it. You mean to tell me we're just letting these people walk the streets, pretending that they play video games, having opinions on video games, and they don't even like video games? Not on my watch. I'm not having it. Genuinely though, this is a thing, and I do think these people are kind of causing problems, and that I have also contributed to those problems, and it only occurred to me recently. And so I wanted to make this video, which I'm sure is going to upset some people, but here we are. There is a recent and growing culture of people who just like hate video games being very involved in video game communities. I see it in my comment sections all the time, and I'm always like a little confused by it. Anytime that I've mentioned in any video the amount of good
Yeah, things like Twitter are the problem. That was a nice frame to stop on. People on Twitter or X, people on Facebook, people are involved in these communities that spend more time in the community than actually doing the thing that the community is about.
games that came out in 2023, there's always this response of people being like, actually, all games shit. Look at all the bad games that came out this year. The day before, I always have to look it up because I forget the name of the game. Skull Island, Rise of Kong, Gollum, all these terrible video games. All games are shit. They all have battle passes and
Yeah, they're cool to talk about, but then everybody hears about them, so they buy them, and they keep continuing because even the bad games make a whole lot of money. So there's not really an incentive to make good games unless you just have the heart to make a good game.
microtransactions, and they're all garbage, which to me
I don't play games that have microtransactions in them. I mean, it doesn't say that I wouldn't say that I wouldn't. It's just right now I'm not playing any games with microtransactions in them because I'm playing Cyberpunk, Resident Evil 4, and Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment. And those are really good games that have come out recently.
just directly translates to you don't play many video games. Like, if you think that all games have those problems or that all games suck, you're kind of firsthand admitting that you don't like video games, right? That's what you're telling me. So that's my first thesis here. If you're the kind of person who says, oh, all video games are shit, you're not playing the right video games. There are a lot of really great video games that have come out this year. There are literally more than I would have time to play. You would have trouble while also having a life, even finishing the amount of games that were very, very, very good, that were not predatory and did not have predatory practices that came out in 2023. If you tell me all video games are shit these days, I suspect that you only play really specific kinds of AAA games, like really specific, like repetitive, potentially exploitative releases, and that I hope that you're able to broaden your horizon on the kind of games that you play, because that is an issue. If you only play games you don't like or only play bad games, not only are you not going to like video games, you're also going to be giving those things money and thus creating more. The reason that
Dude, I feel that so much. Everybody's talking about, like, oh man, the gaming industry sucks right now, but then they're playing the newest Call of Duty every year and Halo Infinite Online and Fortnite. They're playing all these games, all the most popular games that are coming out that just that people know that children are going to play, so they stream it, and then people want to be like the streamer, so they get that game, and then their friends get that game, and then people who aren't children end up watching, and then they're like, look at all these people playing this, and they start playing it. That's how these, like Fortnite and PUBG, that's how they get popular. It's not bad games, it's just they inspire bad games to copy the bad mechanics that make money.
we keep getting battle passes is because people keep buying battle passes. When people
Exactly.
talk about like vote with your wallet with video games, the problem is we are voting with our wallets.
And if your friend buys the battle pass, you're more likely to buy the battle pass.
The games community is repeatedly telling publishers that it will spend money on microtransactions and battle passes and pre-orders. Dear God, stop pre-ordering video games. I don't know why people do this. And I wanted to make this video for two reasons. One, to tell you about some of the amazing games that came out this year, and two, to talk about like the separate parts of this problem, okay? Now, I'm not absolving the games industry of a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues. The problem that I have noticed is a culture of perpetuating the issues, which again, I've contributed to. I think this has only happened more recently. We used to just forget about bad games. But now, when we talk about a game like The Day Before, which again I had to look at the name of because I always forget what it's called because it's so fucking generic, this was a game that effectively got skyrocketed to popularity because everybody assumed it would be a scam, and then it came out and it was bad, and then the servers were getting shut down. I actually haven't played it and considered making a video about it, and that's sort of when I realized the problem that I know about.
Dude, I did not understand the whole everything surrounding The Day Before. I tried my hardest not to buy into it, but I watched a couple videos on it, but that's the problem. Everybody watched a couple videos on it. So then that means everybody's going to be making a video on it. So then it just exploded.
This bad game. You know about this bad game. I would be telling you more about this bad game. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to play bad games again. It's funny. But why continue to perpetuate the bad and signal boost the bad so much when there are literally more good games than most of us can even afford to buy? The same thing happened with Skull Island Rise of Kong, and the same thing happened with Golem, which again, I played on this very channel for longer than I played games that I really liked this year. I didn't play a game like Dredge, which is like absolutely one of my favorite games of the year. I did speak about it, but I didn't play it here. And we basically created this culture of like really, really...
Yeah, I don't know what Dredge is. Never heard of that. Yeah, I'm finding it really hard to actually because I want to play games on my channel, but I find it really hard to do because then I'm trying to make a video rather than actually just playing the game and having a good time. And it just, it dies for me. I didn't like it, so I haven't done it yet. Just, talking shit and playing with my friends. That's probably what's going to end up happening, but I got to actually get my friends to play. Maybe when I actually start making money from this, I can get people on board, but everybody says they want to do social media, and then I'm the guy over here making social media, and nobody wants to do it. I don't know why I'm talking about that. Okay.
Really signal boosting bad video games to the extent that I think it might be happening intentionally in some cases. By spending so much time highlighting the things we don't like, which there are things in games that I think are the worst that they've ever been. There are things that I think are really, really, really bad. If you know me, you know I'm very anti-microtransaction. I've only bought one ever, and it was a dog in Sea of Thieves. Rare is one of my favorite studios. I'm happy to support them. I won't buy battle passes for any game ever. I feel negatively about plenty of parts of the live service push because it means that we are getting less video games overall and instead are getting more video games that want to consume and steal all of our time. Like that, I think, is a really negative part of the video game industry, that there are certain publishers that are trying to shift heavily towards specifically live services in the interest of monetizing the amount of hours that you play in a different way. And thus they kind of have to forcibly make games more addictive to keep you engaged in that one game, to keep getting money from you for 1,000 hours or whatever. Like that, I think, is a whole minefield that maybe I should make a separate video about predatory practice in the games industry or things that I'm really concerned about. I've definitely been meaning to make a video about advertising and how bad I think that's gonna get. So maybe I'll do that soon. This video is not about that. There are things that I think are negative, and I don't think we should ignore those negative things. They should be spoken about. The problem is the speaking doesn't help very much. Not only are we advertising the games that we don't like in a lot of cases, and again, not talking about the games that we do like, but like
Dude, I try to get my friends to play the good games, and they won't do it. They keep going for the popular games. Like everybody just had to get Diablo 4. And I ended up getting Diablo 4, and I hated it. But that's what all my friends were doing. And they all seemed to hate it, but they all kept playing it, and man, I tried so hard to get them to play other games. So hard. And now none of them are playing any games right now. I think Petey's playing Ark. And I don't know what Death is doing. And I don't know what Dusty's doing. And you know what? They're probably going to get the next bad game. They were all playing Destiny 2 before they hopped on to Diablo 4. It's exactly what she's talking about. They keep playing these games with these shitty mechanics that everybody hates, and they all hate it. They all hate these games, but they keep playing them. And they're like, but I like the way it feels, the way you do things, but there's just all of this other nonsense. And then there's all of this stuff that breaks whenever a new update comes out. And I'm just like, there are better games. I mean, they're different, but you got to explore a little bit, man. You can't just play all the bad games that are popular that everyone hates and just really wants to love, because they're only popular because they know how to hook you. It's just like a casino, man. You go into a casino, you're like, oh man, this place is awesome. Look how big it is. There's so much stuff in here. Oh, free drinks? That's awesome. And then you're just and that's all you're doing.
Like I said, gamers are already kind of voting with their wallets. We are already buying microtransactions, battle passes. That is why publishers keep doing it. You can scream about how much you don't like it, but that is what the industry is telling them is working. For as long as that keeps happening, that is not going to change no matter how angry you are on the internet about it, unfortunately. And I think this year especially, having Skull Island Rise of Kong and Gollum and the day before and that Walking Dead game that looked absolutely terrible all come out in the same year, I think we are actually moving to a movement where we are incentivizing bad video games. It is time to talk about geology. Geology is a skin
You gotta give me a little bit more time for the ad to actually, get that last bit.
terrible all come out in the same year. I think we are actually moving to a movement where we are incentivizing bad video games.
Yes, this is true, and this is exactly what I was just talking about. It's like a casino because it's really pretty and it feels nice, and there are free drinks, but you end up just sitting at the table, just watching the wheel spin. So really, what does all the other stuff around you matter?
It is time to talk about geology. Geology is a skincare solution that takes all of the honestly very hard work out of skincare. I only saying off, it's gone. That much about their reputation, content creators be months away. Stuff as you'll see, so make sure you get it before it's gone. That code is Charalanahzard 70 and the company is Geology, Geologie. Now back to the video. I think we are maybe months away from probably smaller studios who don't care as much about their reputations. I think there is one that has already done this, intentionally making rage bait bad video games because they know that content creators will play them for free. It's very hard to get a content creator to play a game that you worked very hard on and really like unless it exists as a well-known IP in the AAA space. Turns out getting people to play really, really bad video games, even the smallest content creators will do it, is really, really easy to the extent that it is now, I think, we've created a legitimate business strategy.
Yeah, and it was all because of the early, not exactly early, maybe it's kind of early now compared to how far we've gotten, but around the 2012 era, people were playing all the old bad video games, and now we've run out of the old bad video games for everybody to laugh at. So people have realized that, oh, we can make new bad video games for people to play and make money. So and it's usually not big companies that do it, but definitely it happens. Look at the day before. And like Metal Gear, what is it? Survive, that dumbass zombie game that was disgusting.
Specific publisher that I wanted to call out is a company called Game Mill. Game Mill made
Yep, I
Skull
know all
Island
about
Rise of
Game Mill.
Kong, and a report from The Verge revealed that Game Mill gave Iguanabee, the developer, only 1 year to build the game from scratch beginning June 2022, which is insanity. You can't make a game in 1 year. Apparently 2 to 20 developers were working on the game at any given time, and the game were required to crunch in order to even finish the project, which still came out very bad, unfortunately. It received super negative reviews. People said the game was ugly, full of bugs, very boring, does nothing meaningful or new or clever at all, terrible visuals, horrendous gameplay, awful level design, just overwhelmingly excessively negative. And of course, the publisher knew about this. They rushed the game out within a year for some reason, and now all of us know what it is. This game has been so.
How much money did it make, though? Yeah, I looked. I couldn't find it. So let's continue the video then. I bet it made at least $30,000. At least. Because, you got to think of all the people that refunded it. Because I bet it made close to $1 million at first. And yeah, I guarantee that it probably made about 30,000, and that's still a lot of money. That's more money than I could dream of having at one time.
so hotly spoken about, so much more than any of the good games that came out in 2023. Another game also from Game Mill Entertainment had a similar release this year. The Walking Dead Destinies came out November 17, and it's considered to be one of the worst games of 2023, with Ollie Reynolds from Nintendo Life saying there is absolutely nothing here that has been executed well. It's a game that is simply rife with technical blunders, terrible production values, and broken mechanics. Two games from Game Mill that were probably created under the exact same circumstances that got so much attention for being bad. Watch whatever Game Mill's next game is. That's all I'm trying to say. I think we have potentially, unintentionally, created a culture of certain publishers being like, wait, if we make a bad game and it only takes a year to make and with limited staff and we make them crunch for free, a bunch of people will buy.
Just like that old company that AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd, used to talk about. Can't remember what it's called. It was from the 80s and 90s, and they made all of the bad video games that everybody hates.
It so they can talk about it. This seemingly will only work if it's an IP, because it kind of requires us to recognize the property, but we have created a legitimate business strategy for low-level or mid-level publishers who previously have a record of publishing some more creative titles. You can kind of get more creative and take more risks in that space. There's less to lose. In conclusion, we give a lot of attention to things we don't like in video games. I think there are a lot of people who involve themselves in video game culture who don't even really play video games.
Yeah, I try and stick to the stuff that I like. Or like I'll do like Avatar The Last Airbender live action series. I had zero intentions on hating it or loving it going into watching the trailers and looking into it. And then it's just, it's something that I've loved forever. So I'm going to look into that. The games, however, I don't care about because they've always been bad. So they're always going to be bad, in my opinion. I don't think you can make a good Last Airbender game.
Games and instead just watch angry YouTubers, a lot of whom, as it turns out, also don't even really play video games. We do not spend anywhere near enough time talking about the games that we actually do like and rewarding the things that we actually do like. I think the gaming community did a great job with Baldur's Gate 3 this year. Buying that game, telling the industry that you want something of that scale, that is a huge win for everybody, but we still...
Yeah, how about instead of buying the games and making fun of the games, we just make a video on how shit the company that made that game is and just not talk about the game at all.
Still got a bunch of fake gamers walking among us, and I fully feel that way about anybody who says all games are shit now, all games are bad now. Are they? The only way you can think that is if you don't really play video games and you only pay attention to people on YouTube.
No.
There's a lot that...
We just don't get angry about it. We just gotta, make fun of them while we play the really, really good games like Baldur's Gate and Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is a good example of it came out shit and people ridiculed them into making a good game.
That's wrong. I'm not removing that. And a lot that's bad and a lot that I find very concerning as someone who really loves video games. But there were so many good games this year that my guess is you just haven't heard of them. You just don't know about them because you don't really pay.
I bought 2 games other than the 3 that I mentioned previously, Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate, and Resident Evil 4. I bought 2 other games that I haven't played yet. So I know all about there being really good games, and that's all I've been focusing on. In Resident Evil 4, I've probably completed 10 times. I'm working on a professional S+ run right now, and I'm stuck at the cabin. I've tried playing it like 3 times, and I just keep getting obliterated. But I'm not going to give up. Good games, really, and they just really separate ways for Resident Evil 4 not too long ago, and I just played it and beat it in the other day, and I'm definitely going to play through it again. It was very, very good. Resident Evil 4 is just so good. Baldur's Gate 3, I haven't even beat it yet. I don't even know how far into the story I am. I'm over 100 hours into it. Cyberpunk, I've almost done everything in, and I'm still playing it, so.
That much attention to video games. It's okay to admit that, fake gamer. In conclusion, I'm going to leave you with a bunch of these. Here are what I think are some absolutely incredible games that came out in 2023, a lot of which have not gotten as much attention as Gollum, or Kong, or The Walking Dead, or The Day Before. And that sucks. If you think all video games suck, try any of these. I'm not going to go with the super obvious picks that everyone's picking, like Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda and Alan Wake 2. So let's start with a franchise you probably heard.
I haven't played Alan Wake 2. That's one that I'm definitely going to want to play because I played the original one twice in a row. That game was so good, one of my favorites.
But a series that I feel like never ever ever gets enough love. This is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. This game is, in my opinion, absolutely incredible. It has a lot of strength in both combat and exploration, and I think they really nail the pacing. It is so sharp and so fast paced. Unless you don't want it to be, it's totally opt-in. And the story,
Yeah, I really wish that I could get into Nintendo games, but I really just hate Nintendo. And I don't want to pirate games from companies that are still actively making the games that I'm wanting to pirate. And I don't blame these companies for the things that Nintendo does. So I just don't have the heart. So it is what it is until I get releases for my platform and they like go on sale or something. Because there are just too many games.
especially if you've played the other games, is one of its best. I think it stands by itself quite effectively, and if you've never played any of the games, you will miss a little bit of context. I'd recommend just watching YouTube videos, but you will otherwise still have a really, really rewarding experience
I'd be
playing.
playing
It's basically
the whole
Xenoblade Chronicles
series.
realizing what it was trying to be the whole time, getting rid of previous issues that some of the other games had, in my opinion, and coming up with something that is effectively the best of its genre. Next up is Against the Storm, which is obviously a very particular type of game,
Ooh.
but again, if you're the kind of person who thinks all games suck, maybe try something that's outside of the usual genre. That's not the action-adventure that so much of the AAA space leans to. It's kind of a mixture of strategy and roguelike elements. There is a ton of randomly generated content, which means that every single time you play, things are going to feel incredibly different. And of course, it has a really satisfying gameplay loop, taking a
Yeah, this looks like a game that I would very much enjoy. Because I like games with menus and like the top-down perspective, like Civilization. I've played more Civilization 5 this year, I think, than any other game. I have hundreds of hours in that game.
essentials from other really well-known games in this particular genre, but it also just has an unbelievably, like, undeniably addictive gameplay loop. Again, I know this is a really particular kind of game, but if you're unhappy with everything that you're playing right now, check it out. It is one of the most positively reviewed games on Steam of the year. It has tons of charm and is incredibly unique, like super unique. It is like almost nothing else I have ever played. Next is Turbo Overkill, and oh my god,
I don't know what
this
this
game
is.
so awesome. It really takes the best elements of a lot of older first-person shooters, again, very Doom inspired, plus a bunch of pop
Yeah.
culture references that are really, really fun. And everything it borrows in a very smart, innovative way. So it never feels like a rip-off of anything. It feels like it has its own identity, but that it very carefully, masterfully almost, took cues from every other game that it should have, if that makes sense. And I actually can't imagine many people not liking this game unless you're just really off-put by an older aesthetic. Again, you really just like the
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this one up because this looks fun.
shiny graphics of the AAA space or something. It is just so much fun, so over the top, such a thrill to play. I cannot recommend this game enough. Next is Dave the Diver, which did actually take off pretty well this year. It has a couple of different gameplay loops that I think complement each other perfectly well. You play as a literal diver, and some of the dives are
Yeah, I've seen this one on Steam. I've never clicked on it to actually check it out. It kind of looks cool.
quite compelling, trying to catch
Yeah,
a
I'm
fish to then sell in
missing
your
a lot of
restaurant.
games
It is
that don't have much
perfectly
time,
well
though.
directed. Every single part of this game, from art to music to gameplay, is all pushing in this same one very satisfying direction. With, and it might surprise you initially, a story that actually has something very interesting to say. Of course, you upgrade your little diver as you play along, and it's another one of those ones that I want to be like, play it. I promise you, no gameplay I could show you will make this game look as fun as it actually is. But it is very fulfilling, very wholesome, still challenging, and remarkably creative. This is one of the best games of the year, no doubt, and it's just so, so, so unique. Pizza Tower is a pretty quick game for you to get through. Again, look how different all of these games look. Isn't this cool? You're talking to me about how all games suck and all games look the same. I'm having trouble even getting through
This looks like one of those like old Flash games from Newgrounds.
this list. So Pizza Tower is very, very stylish, sort of a Wario Land type. It's a really clever, silly, over-the-top, animated platformer with some really fun boss fights and an old school gameplay style. If you're sick of modern games, jump right in. It also has one of my favorite soundtracks of the year. I definitely would have nominated it if I were on any juries. And I have difficulty finding anything really to flaw with it. It's effectively a perfect platformer. Next is Slay the Princess, which, wow, we getting creepy. This is a psychological horror visual novel that has a beautiful art style, a really, really fun, and in my opinion, fairly unpredictable plot twist, which is especially
I'm not a big fan of the visual novels. Maybe I can get into them if I have more time for them to actually sit, because I read books. So that's usually where I get my reading done, or the news.
kind of uncommon in the choose your own adventure style, which is what this is. It is an incredibly in-depth, choice-driven game. I am so impressed by the narrative design in this game. It also has great characters, just tons of detail, and I don't think I've even scratched the surface of everything that exists in this game just yet. Next up is Cocoon, which is exactly my shit. This is definitely one of my games of the year. This is one of those games similar to Tunic for me, where it is just so expertly made that certain components of it just become like jaw-dropping, just awe-inspiring, absolutely mind-blowingly incredible. It's a challenging puzzle game.
Once I have more time and I can get like this whole Fables Playground thing off the ground, I'm gonna try and play as many games as I can. Because then I'll have an excuse. I can just be like, I'm making it for content. I think that's what a lot of content creators do when they play video games. They're like, I'm going to make content so I have an excuse to actually have time to do this thing.
With beautiful visuals, really, really strong themes, a lot of style in line with games like Inside, which is in my top 10 games ever. It features smart design
I
top
love
to bottom,
Inside.
plus some really, really fun boss fights. Next is Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, which you may have heard me talk about already on the channel. If you like Castlevania at all, I think Castlevania Symphony of the Night is probably still the best PlayStation game. At least it's up there. This is such a fantastic ode to the series, combining obviously Dead Cells style with Castlevania.
Yeah, I feel like this chick she would be a bad influence on me because I don't have time to play video games, but she'd be like, here's this video game, check it out. Because, like, I've heard of Dead Cells. Obviously, I know what Dead Cells is, and I've never played it. I've seen it played, but, like, I know it's fun, and I know they're always adding new stuff to it. And I really need to play it. But, man, I just don't. I'd want to sit down and beat it if I played it. And I just don't have time to do that. I've got, like, maybe 2-3 hours a day that I can sit down and like get stuff done. And the 2-3 hours a day is for me to sit down, read some of a book, look at the news, and play a game. And that's not really enough time to do much. Sometimes I got a little bit more time than that, sometimes less. And I would kill a day just trying to beat one of these games. In Dead Cells, it seems like there's just a little bit too much to it.
Castlevania's style. There's a collaboration that I never would have seen coming, but they absolutely nail it. Not much else I feel like really needs to be said here. Just two absolute goats, being Dead Cells and Castlevania, combined to make something pretty much perfect. Next up, and for the record, I could keep going. There is a lot more that I could mention. There are so many more games that I could mention, but I tried to pick ones that are different and ones that don't just fit the usual AAA style. Like, it's such a good year for games. Tried to be just, distinct in what I picked here. This is the Talos Principle 2. It is a very well written and very challenging puzzle game, sort of like The Witness. It's really thought provoking, both tonally and in story and in puzzles. Not overly difficult, like you're not going to bash your head against a wall playing it, but still really imaginative in a way that I just find so impressive. You'll see things and hear things and talk to people and have conversations in this game that will make you think in a way that I really, really appreciated my time with it.
Yeah, I like puzzles and I like games with a lot of puzzles, but I don't like puzzle games because it's just, I guess it goes back to I just don't have time to just sit there and try and figure out a puzzle. It's not that half the day is going to me trying to fix problems. I don't really need to do the puzzles to work my brain because my brain's already getting worked. I'll probably explode if I try and play puzzle games.
Oh, I am better for this game existing. You also don't need to have played the first game to play the second one, though I would personally recommend it. If you like The Portal, if you like The Witness, if you like anything like that, definitely check out Talos Principle 2 or any of the other countless very, very, very good games that came out in 2023 and come out every single year. If you're still here at the end, I doubt many people made it to the end because the start of this video is where the spice is. Can you just leave a comment in the comments section saying the word chicken? Just chicken. I just want to see how many of you made it to the end. All right, a lot of video games are really great, y'all. Chicken out.
I guess I'm gonna chicken out real quick. I chickened. Here you go. Yeah, I see where she's coming from. I see where everyone else is coming from too. I just don't care. I just play the games that I like. And if I see a game that I like that looks cool, I'll wait until it comes out. I don't think too much about it. I've got other things to worry about. I don't need to be worrying about what the game industry is doing and what all of the gamers are talking about. Just don't care. If a good game comes out, I'm going to play it. It sucks if a game comes out and it's really good and then a sequel or a remake comes out and it's garbage. Or if a game company that, usually makes a good game comes out with a bad game. Yeah, that really sucks, but I just really don't care. I just won't play it. They won't get my money. And I think that's what everyone else should do too. Good game comes out, then they play it. It's just like with movies. Like a movie comes out and it's coming out in theaters, and am I going to go to the midnight release? No. Why would I do that? I'm going to make a special occasion of it Thursday after I've known that it's been loved by everyone. If everybody hates it, then like shit, I guess I'm not going to see that movie that I thought maybe would be good. Oh well. And I'm not going to get mad about it, and I'm never going to think about it again. And I'm just going to go do something else.